In the headlines, the Chief Elections Officer fails to submit his elections report seeking clarity, but the chairman of GECOM stands by her clear instructions for him to produce a report by 11 a.m. Saturday.
While the chairman is inside there getting the letter drafted, the CEO walks out, informs somebody, I don't know if it's the chairman or a secretary, that he had a death threat when he left the building. And that's it.
Foreign powers meet with the new army chief while others urge for the speedy declaration of the elections results. Guyana records 4 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the total confirmed cases to 290. And in sport, Avinash Ramzan and Akim Green analyze West Indies' dominant performance after day 3 against England. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. Thank you for joining us. First up, Justice Claudette Singh, the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, has once again given written instructions to the Chief Elections Officer, Lowenfield, to provide a report of the results of the national vote recount and submit it to the Commission so a declaration can be made. Lowenfield has been told to present his report by 11 hours Saturday. It is the third time Justice Singh will be providing the same instructions to Lowenfield. Lowenfield on Friday failed to submit his elections report as directed by the chairman using certified figures of the national vote recount, which shows a win for the People's Progressive Party. In a letter to Lowenfield Friday, Justice Singh said she had carefully noted his concerns, but that her letter from Thursday stands. That is, for him to provide a report on the national vote recount using the 10 certificates of recount. He was to submit his report by 14 hours on Friday, but did not. Instead, he asked the chair to provide further guidance, quoting the law and the judgment Wednesday by the Caribbean Court of Justice. GECOM Commissioners Bibi Shadiq, Vincent Alexander, and Seyes Ganraj spoke to the media at the conclusion of the GECOM meeting.
We arrived at the meeting to be confronted with a letter written by the Chief Elections Officer, which I think the press has already published. He said he didn't understand, and he's seeking to quote CCJ judgment and misquoting CCJ judgment. So, and they had this long story and discussions, well, as usual, he got his backers and stuff. After all the confusion, the decision was taken that the chairman would go and write him further to say that what he's asking for doesn't have any relevance to what she asked him for. He noted it, that it can be heard by the High Court, and that he would have to do the report as per her 2 instructions, now a third one. While the chairman is inside there getting the letter drafted, the CEO walks out, informs somebody, I don't know if it's the chairman or a secretary, that he had a death threat when he left the building. And that's it.
When will the commission meet again, Ms.
Tomorrow at 11.
Shadiq, does all the commissioners have an understanding of what the chairman is seeking from the CEO?
Yes, they can all decide to say otherwise, but everybody understood what she left to do.
Okay,
okay? So if the report still true?
Her decision to issue the letter still stands?
Of course.
Okay.
In fact, she can't give him because he's not there. She will send it to his house.
Alternatively, what are the options?
I don't know. When that time comes, we will deal with it.
The law dictates that the CEO is a creature of the commission, and if he fails to carry out the lawful instructions of the commission, obviously that has to be met with consequences, and there are a raft of consequences which can flow from that.
Like what consequences?
If you're an employer, and the employment laws cater for that, as are several employment practices, if you fail to carry out, like I said, there are many disciplinary actions that can be taken. What must be borne in mind here is that the nation is waiting for these results, and we have been waiting. It did not escape the attention of the judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice. They said it in the beginning of their judgment, they said it at the end, that it did not escape the attention that we have been waiting in excess of 4 months for these results, and it is the wait has been punctuated by several acts of shenanigans.
I expect that the CEO will respond tomorrow.
Can the Chief Elections Officer be substituted for the time being to allow for someone else to present the report in accordance with the request by the GECOM chairman?
My position is once he's in situ, that he's not on sick leave or off the job, then he is the sworn statutory officer.
Right.
And the commission can't substitute somebody else for him unless it's a course of disciplinary action which says that you're suspended, you're off the job, and therefore, since the job has to be done, we substitute to someone else.
What's the basis for your position?
Which position?
That you've just advocated.
It's just logics. It's logical.
Is
you have a CEO who is statutorily sworn to do a job. He's not unavailable to you. How do you sidestep? This man gets his authority in that regard, not from just in that commission, but from the law. How do you sidestep the provision of the law which says this is the man for the job? Because you want somebody else to do it.
But if he refuses to comply with the decision by the
commission?
If
he refuses to comply with the decision of the commission, then you have to go to another action. And that action has to be whether you find him insubordinate. In other words, you got to remove him from the position.
We tell you now that newly appointed Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, GDF Brigadier Godfrey Best, on Friday met senior diplomats of the US, UK, Canada, and the EU, where he underscored that the force has an apolitical stance and abides by its role in the Constitution of Guyana. Brigadier Best met with United States Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch, British High Commissioner Greg Quinn, Canadian High Commissioner Lillian Chatterjee, and European Union Ambassador Fernando Ponce Canto at the GDF headquarters base camp in Ghana. In a short statement, the Army said Best reiterated the apolitical nature and posture of the Guyana Defense Force. Further, the new Army Chief also emphasized in the meeting that the GDF is fulfilling its mandate and will continue to abide by its role as stipulated by Guyana's Constitution. Diplomats representing the European Union, EU, and the United Kingdom, UK, in Guyana have reiterated calls for the winner of the March 2nd elections to be declared in accordance with the CARICOM certified recount results and in keeping with the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ.
Well, thank you. Today I want to really focus on the donation, but since you asked the question, I can tell you that we are in a moment which is very important. We are very hopeful. There has been a very clear, solid ruling by the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is the ultimate court of appeal. And of course, this provides the foundation for a democratic solution to the post-electoral crisis in Guyana, which has already lasted too long. And perhaps I could add that we are very hopeful that GECOM will now do the declaration on the basis of the CARICOM certified results and in accordance with the guidance provided by the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Fundamentally, we are, 18 weeks from the election. As Justice Saunders said, you know, this has gone on an awfully long time, and it really does need a resolution, and it needs a resolution sooner rather than later, because then, you know, we can have an administration which can focus on the real impact socially and economically of issues like COVID. And that needs to be a focus. But until we get an election result declared, I don't think the focus or the funding is going to be available to address the issues that need to be addressed.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a statement Friday, says he has taken note of the July 8 ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice as final instance. He stressed the importance of announcing final official results of the March 2nd general and regional elections to the Guyanese people as soon as possible to end an impasse that has lasted more than 4 months. The Secretary General called on all political leaders and their supporters to recognize and accept the final official results and refrain from any act or statement that may fuel tensions or incite violence. Chairman of GECOM Justice retired Claudette Singh on Friday disregarded the circulation of a purported recording conversation between herself and GECOM's Information Technology Manager Anil Giddings, along with several allegations of a plan to manipulate systems to ensure certain parties declared the winner of the March 2nd elections. The chairman emphatically stated that she has no knowledge of any such conversation, nor is she involved in any plot to ensure any particular party is declared the winner of the 2020 elections. According to Justice Singh, there has been a transparent process to count the votes and the legal process has taken its course. There is absolutely no need for manipulation, she said. According to GECOM chairman, the circulation of such recording and peddling of those allegations are designed to create mischief in an already tense and charged political environment. She said those responsible for such unlawful actions are urged to desist from doing so immediately to ensure an environment of trust, peace, and stability. Still ahead in the newsroom, Guyana records 4 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the total confirmed cases to 290. And child abuse reports have seen a decrease with the closure of schools. We tell you now that 4 more persons have tested positive for COVID-19 from 25 tests done, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in Guyana to 290. The Ministry of Public Health has tested 3,112 persons so far. On Friday, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Karen Gordon-Boyle compared Guyana's testing rate to that of other Caribbean countries.
As of July 10th, 2020, of the 25 tests done, there have been 4 new cases, bringing the total number of positive cases to 290. 134 persons have recovered, and our COVID-19 deaths remain at 16. In institutional isolation, we currently have 140 active cases, 19 persons in institutional quarantine, and 6 persons in the COVID ICU. We have tested 3,112 persons so far, with 2,822 being negative. I wish to apprise you all that we now have 9 out of 10 regions with COVID-19 cases. Region 8 is the newest region to report cases. Fellow Guyanese, I wish to remind you to make use of our mobile testing units and the COVID-19 facilities in your area in the event you are experiencing COVID-related signs or symptoms or have been in close contact with a person who has tested positive. Just remember that the earlier you seek medical assistance, the easier it is for your health personnel to provide the timely care and treatment you need. Regarding the testing capacity in our country, I wish to reassure you that Guyana compares favorably with some of the other countries in our region. Suriname has 212 per 100,000 of population tested, Antigua Barbuda 224, Anguilla 240, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 294, Haiti 310, Grenada 340, Guyana 392, Trinidad 410, Jamaica 929. From the above comparison, you can see that Jamaica, Trinidad are the only 2 countries ahead of Guyana in terms of testing rate. We are doing better than Suriname, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Haiti, and Grenada. So bravo to the staff at the reference lab who are going above and beyond to ensure that the tests are run and the results are available in a timely manner.
Child abuse reports have seen a decrease with the closure of schools to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but this is only because teachers are the ones that most often spot and report abuse. Anne Green, the director of the Child Care and Protection Agency, CPA, has said. Isanella Patwa reports.
Data compiled by the Child Care and Protection Agency shows there were 1,250 reports of child abuse from January to May this year. Child neglect recorded the highest number with 559 cases. There were 315 reports of child sexual abuse. The director, Anne Green, during a Zoom interview with the Newsroom, said with data compared for the same period in 2019, there is a decrease. She clarified that there is a decrease in reporting child abuse and not a decrease in child abuse. The director further said that even under normal circumstances, the figures does not show the true extent of how many children are being abused. And now with the COVID-19 pandemic, there are even more cases that are going unreported and the children are now more vulnerable.
The whole child protection system is not fully in operation because the school teachers are the front runners for spotting abuse. So most of our reports come through the school system. So the school is out. So even the reports that we got is underreported because the full system is not in operation. A lot of children are being abused, but there's no way to report it. At times like these, in pandemics and so on, and lockdown, children are in close confinement with the perpetrators. So, period, reports that we get is never really the true figure because of the nature of child abuse. It is always underreported. So even now, we're still not getting the clear picture of what really is going on with children.
The abused children most times do not have a voice to report what is happening to them because the perpetrator is usually a relative or family friend. The CPA is now encouraging community members to pick up the phone, call the hotline number 227-0979 and report any child or children being abused during this time. Recently, there have been a lot more prosecution and severe sentencing for child sexual abuse perpetrators.
It might not go as fast as how we will want. If we get a report today, we go and get the man before the court within a day or two. It takes a little longer than that, but it has improved. You know, the whole process has improved.
Meanwhile, British High Commissioner to Guyana, Greg Quinn, in an interview with the Newsroom Friday, said the United Kingdom is providing support to the court so that it can be able to function during COVID-19. This is being done through UNICEF.
In this COVID period and in the lockdown period, not just in Guyana, but globally, I think we've seen an increase in things like domestic and sexual abuse, including of children. So, given our previous support to Child Sexual Offences Court, what we are now doing is providing some additional funding to UNICEF to allow them to maintain those courts and for those courts to operate within COVID restrictions. So that'll include things like doing more by video conference, etc.
Last year, there were a total of 3,752 reported child abuse cases, with 1,729 of those cases being child neglect and 890 being cases of sexual abuse. Reporting for the Newsroom, I am Isanella Patwo.
The European Union on Friday donated several printers, other equipment and furniture which were used by the Elections Observer Mission EOM during its stint in Guyana to the Rotary Club of Demerara. The donation was made by the EU Ambassador to Guyana, Fernando Pons Canto. According to President of the club, Baheshwar Murli, the items will go to the Ptolemy Reed Center, orphanages and other vulnerable groups.
The European Union and the Electoral Observation Mission of the European Union, we are very pleased that we could arrange this. We know the Rotary Club, we appreciate a lot the work you do, so thank you very much, and we will be delighted to continue to our cooperation for the people of Guyana.
I would like to express our gratitude to you, Fernando Canto, Ambassador of the European Union, for this donation of our supplies. I must assure you that these supplies will surely aid at least 10 identified organizations in the efficient execution of their mandate. In our estimation, in excess of 200 vulnerable children and adults will directly benefit from this kind of gesture. Some of the organizations that we have identified are the Ploys Center, the West Lowenfield Center, the Georgian Armenian Master, the Ministry of Social Protection, Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Policy Unit, Safe Space, the Haruni Girls Home, Sophia Community Development Association, the Society for the Blind and More Children's Home, and the Mahaiga Children's Home. So once again, we at Rotary Demerara would like to emphasize our heartfelt thank you and want to assure you that this effort is well received. We are also enthusiastic about this fruitful partnership and look forward to the continued growth and development of it.
For the year so far, a total of 74 persons were killed in road accidents. Traffic Chief Senior Superintendent Lyndon Isles told the Newsroom Friday. Drunk driving and speeding are the most prevalent causes of road accidents. Isanella Patwa tells us more.
Road fatalities in Guyana from January to now have increased by some 23%, with 71 road accidents and 74 persons being killed. Traffic Chief Lyndon Isle, in a telephone interview with Newsroom on Friday, highlighted that majority of the fatalities involve motorcyclists.
We had some accidents that occurred during the COVID-19 period But we find that we had some accidents involving motorcyclists, and most of these motorcyclists are not wearing their safety helmet. We find that most of them would have died from suffered head injuries. We had a large amount of motorcyclists being killed this year due to fatal accidents.
Last year, for the same period, there were 67 fatal accidents with 60 deaths. Overall, for 2019, there were 117 fatal accidents with 127 deaths. The traffic chief is advising road users to obey the COVID-19 restrictions and also use the road with care. He also noted that the increase is worrisome because they are improved roads, but drivers are not adhering to speed limits.
I would just want to encourage persons at this time to obey the restriction and remember that they must use the road with care, right? Because people tend to be driving reckless on our roadways today. We have improved road surface on the East Coast, East Bank, and you find what we have is pedestrians, they're racing. And I will implore that they change their attitude. We need to see a change in attitude of road users.
The Ghana Police Force last year embarked on a campaign of Operation Safe Roads. The operation was launched following an increase in road accidents and was aimed at addressing drunk driving and speeding across the country. Reporting for the Newsroom, I am Isanella Pato.
When the Newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bird reports along with sport.